The saint's magic power is omnipotent and a painfully average show. This video is part of a series of videos I'm doing to prepare to watch more shows next season. I'm covering season 1 of season 2 shows. While also this being one of the first steps in my journey into a shoujo anime. Shoujo anime is mainly targeted at young women in a similar way of shonen. Yeah. Target demographic is teenage and young adult females. That is the shoujo anime, manga, etc. It's very average, like I said. It's laid back, it's a calming show. It's probably better to watch it when you just need something to relax. And this is nice. There's not much conflict. There's okay characters at times. There's no real stakes in the show. And nothing feels like it has consequences. But it's enjoyable nonetheless. It's a isekai. It's a shoujo isekai. You don't see many isekais with like a main female protagonist, which it's interesting to see that. Um, Before I get into spoilers for the show, I'll go through like basic things. Uh, the world building is not great. Of course, she's not reincarnated. She's just transported into another world. She's an isekai. You either get reincarnated or transported somehow. Uh, Most characters, some are very interesting, or some have a little. Some are interesting to watch, while others tend to be just pretty boys. This is also probably a male harem. Harem, a male harem. So like, it's mainly the main female being around all these pretty guys, basically. Handsome, pretty, whatever you want to say. Doesn't matter to me. Uh, the main character's probably the biggest drawback to the show. She's a very passive person. And I don't mean that in a way of insult to anyone, to any character that's wrote to not make uh, judgments, but more of a way of she's the like a normal isekai. A lot of them have self-insert characters, and she's probably the best self-insert female protagonist. She doesn't have her very much strong opinions other than the guy. Like, this is a male harem, but at the same time, there's obviously only one male character that's truly the interest here. The other ones are just people nice to her, which I'd say that's like five main, five guys that you would label as like love interest, or would be labeled as love interest, but there's only one of them that's actually a love interest. Um, there are, I think the best interesting thing about the show is that there's actually, you know how okay, the premise of the first episode. So, first episode spoilers here, but nothing past that. I'll get into later when I won't spoil the actual whole show. But before I do episode 1 spoilers, I want to see if I'd probably tell you if I recommend it or not. I'd say it's an average show. It's a shoujo isekai male harem. I need to look stuff up how to pronounce that better. I always get other different results. It's 5.5 out of 10. If you love shoujo, you like the premise, it's enjoyable, you think it's interesting, give it an episode. It doesn't change the vibe from episode 1. It doesn't change at all. If I don't experience much shoujo, this is a step into the shoujo genre for me. I've watched a couple others like Orion Host Club, High School Host Club, or Orion High School Host Club. Uh, My Little Lump Monster, Toradora. Would Toradora be a shoujo? I feel like it would be. Um, there's not very many other. That's one of the genres I haven't really watched, and I this is a step to try to get into that. I actually didn't dislike this show. It was actually very enjoyable. It wasn't a slog to get through, and I'd recommend anyone that likes the shoujo genre and you already like something about it, give it one episode. You're no immediate after. Would I recommend anyone that doesn't like those genres or is new to the genre to watch it? No, no, I wouldn't. So episode one spoilers are she's a saint and the other one's a saint in this world, but they're from the normal world, Japan. Or they're both from Japan. Two people get summoned. Usually it's only one. Usually only summon one saint, and half the show is about who's actually the saint. Because they label the main character as not the saint. She's an older woman. Older woman being like literally early 20s. Maybe barely 23. The other girl being in high school. And they think she's the saint. Or the one that performs the ritual. The prince, who is one of the more interesting characters of the show, makes the ritual and thinks the younger girl is the saint. And basically being ignoring the main character, our main character, as not being a saint. So that's an interesting dynamic. Um, and so that's like 6 episodes of the show, 6 to 8 episodes of the show, just dealing with her going from not being considered saint to almost unanimously being thought of as the saint, while the prince is basically disgraced in a way of like not picking this, but he has multiple layers to him. But he's being a good guy because he's trying to protect the other girl. The other girl is very young and naive and doesn't know what she should do. So it's very interesting to see that dynamic. Him, the main character's friend, and the other saint are actually an interesting dynamic there. Of like he's trying to protect the other saint, the other girl, while he's engaged to Liz, our main character's friend. So Liz, the prince, and the other girl are in this, I wouldn't say love triangle, but he gives the other girl all the attention. I would look up her name to prepare for this video, but she's honestly the most passive character in this show. So we're going to call her the other girl because she probably has 5 lines throughout this whole show. She has 1 episode from her perspective, but she is way more boring than even our main character. So, but the prince and Liz, who are engaged to each other, kind of go at it in episode 8 about things. So that's interesting. This is spoilers for everything from past year. The episode 8 is the only actual like interesting like conflict they have in the show. Maybe that in like episode 12. But our main character's passive. The other girl's extremely passive to basically not even ever speaking. Liz is entertaining, has problems, engaged to the prince, who's not on the surface level a great guy, but deep down he is, because he does things for the other girl. That because she's new to the world, and he promises to send her back to his best of his ability, which they don't know how. They're stuck in the world. But yeah, that's the more interesting like background of the show. That only happens for like 8 episodes. After that, it's just meh main story with the character. Her love interest is the blonde-haired guy in the back, as you can see. That's the Commander of Knights. Then another love interest is researcher. Then the mage, the mercenary, and the appraiser. They all have a little protection over her. They're trying their best to help her, but the main love interest is without doubt the blonde-haired guy. So the cycle for this show is basically she's decided not to be the saint. So she tries to go do something to get her, because she's bored in this world, there's nothing to do. So she's trying to trying to find stuff to do. She becomes a researcher. She's she finds out she's really good at making potions, working at the research. So she does that. She's really good at it. Her potions are 1.5 times more effective than anyone else's. And then episode 2, she learns she's good at cooking. Episode 3, she's learned she's good at enchanting. Like she's the best ever. Like no doubt, she is amazing and can do all this stuff. This is all while in the background, the king is learning from people that this actually might be the saint because she's doing things that no one else can. Some people say maybe because she's from a different world. Some people say it's because she's a saint. So slowly they're realizing this could be the saint because she's accomplished things like saving a group of knights, healing all of them. Like episode 1, she heals the main love interest guy with her strongest potion, which is the strongest potion anyone can make, and she just learned to make it recently. So she's figuring this out. She meets the king in episode 4. And she ends up having to use magic to grow a limb back for a knight. And that's basically impossible for anyone but the saint. So they learn that she can do things only a saint level person would be able to. After that, they have an appraiser, which is the appraiser is another love interest. Right now, so far, we've only met 3 of the love interests. The commander of knights, the researcher, which is one she's working for right now at the research facility doing the potions and the herb collection and stuff like that she really enjoys. We haven't met, and now we meet the appraiser. Appraiser, that's when she learns she's good at enchanting. And that's the older brother of the blonde hair guy, so not really a competition. Episode 5, she meets the mage, the head mage. He appraises her and he can't do it, so he's like, there's only one explanation: either you're putting up a resistance for me to appraise you, which which she says he wasn't, and he believes her that she's not. So now he's having to be like, well, it's because you just have more magical power now too, and I just can't do it. So then she's invited to meet the king, request access to Forbidden Library, and formal spell casting education. Now we have 4 love interest. This, as you can see, well, I guess you could say 6 in total, but Jude gets out of the picture super fast. Albert, you do the main. Yeah. This is the mage. This is the mercenary. This is the main character. That's the mage. That's the commander of the knights. That's the mage. The mage appraises her, and he can't do it, so he ends up. They recognize her as basically. They go far as almost doing everything to recognize her as saint, besides saying she's the saint. She gets magic lessons from the head mage, so he can learn how the saint's power works. She gets magic lessons, etiquette lessons. Then we figured out Liz's problem. Liz is the one having issues with the prince who she's engaged to. Do we even have characters for Liz? Elizabeth, yeah. She called it's Elizabeth. First prince's fiance. And they figure out that so they have a tea party with Liz. And then episode 7, you get the
howdy
perspective.
What's up, everyone?
And so,
yo, look, I added a drop shadow.
Sorry about that.
I
thought I had everything muted. My apologies. But episode 7, we get their perspective from the other girl, which is very interesting. But she's boring. She's probably way more boring than anyone else in the show. It's nice to see it from her perspective, what happened. It makes the prince seem like a really nice guy because he's actually trying to help her the best he can, while also admitting to his mistake of like, I really just didn't notice that she was there. I didn't know anything. But instead of coming clean and being like, I apologize for my acts, he's more like, I'm just going to double down and go and just claim I have the real saint. Because they're believing only one of them can be the real saint. And now it's basically known that he didn't actually treat the saint well. He's pick this other girl who isn't the saint, but it was both transport the world. I just thought the whole time they were gonna be both saints, but it's not. The other girl's really not a saint. Episode 8 is the interesting part with the conflict between Elizabeth and the prince. Do we have the prince? Yep, right here. He's the first prince. So Elizabeth and the prince have their fight, and that's interesting. Episode 8 is probably the best episode of the season. Alright, I'll stand by that. Prince is punished in the next episode. Other saint is outed as not the saint. That's basically the whole 2-episode arc right there. Episode 10, the main girl, the knight, go to new area, meet the 5th love interest, which is the mercenary. Well, this is the researcher. You don't really see the mercenary here, I don't believe. Though he is a love interest in that area. Yep. And they go to a new area to help clean up monsters because the saint has the ability to clean miasma, which corrupts beasts and creates monsters from pools of miasma. She meets the Lord of the Land. They travel to the alchemist lady who teaches her a good bit about alchemy that she's trying to learn. This is the main character. The whole last 3 episodes is about her and the knight being closer together. Episode 11 to figure out. She figures out and doesn't tell anyone at all that her abilities are... The saint's ability is love. And she loves the knight loves her. She figures out how to use that. Episode 12, they go and fight in a big forest. And they have to burn it. Basically, what happens is it gets burned down because of fighting. And she uses her ability to heal everybody and meet the girl of the forest. And it ends off on a sunset ride home with the knight. Them being in a relationship or loving each other, I guess, would be the closest thing. It's interesting. It's bland half the time. It's very relaxing, bland, but interesting because it has fight scenes throughout. I like those. But the main character is by far probably the worst part of this because she is very bad. She's bland. The world building's terrible, to be honest, because they don't really build the world out from where she is currently located. Like, you don't even realize that she hasn't been to the city until like episode 4. 3, 4. And then you don't even see the city again, and then they go to another land, which you see the city there for one scene, and then you're back in the building, and you realize there's not much scenery in the background. The art looks okay. They have really good moments where it looks good, and then they have moments of like, this is meh at best. I think the voice acting is good. I watched some of it in sub, I watched some of it in dub. I think the voice acting is good. I do think they did a good job. I couldn't tell any mistranslations. I couldn't tell any weird phrases. I couldn't tell anything bad. I think translation, voice acting, fantastic. I will give it that. I think they did a really good job on that, and they should be appreciated for that. I think most of my problems lies in the fact that I don't care for the story, or it's just not super interesting to me at the basic level. I don't think it's the anime part, it's just the story itself. It's not my cup of tea. I give it a 6. Let's give a shout out to the director and the creator. Original story by... Okay. Let's say bye to Knight, goodbye Maid, goodbye Researcher, and goodbye Elizabeth. First Prince, and Nina. Okay. This is the original creator, the Saints Magic Omnipotent. Season 2 comes out in a few months. So I'll be watching that. Yep, looks like that's the only thing he's basically made, because that's the other girl. Director Shoto Itowaba. Yuka Takabana? Yuka Tachibana is the original story creator. Shota Ibata is the director of season 1. Oh, and he's going to be director of season 2. That's interesting. So, okay. Do I enjoy it enough to watch season 2? Yeah. Especially after watching 12 episodes. I definitely gotta put in enough to watch episode 1 at least. I'd like to see where it goes from here. I don't think there's much of a story truly to it besides just living in a world. It's basically a slice of life. It is, yeah, absolutely. The isekai, slice of life, shoujo, male harem. It's not bad. It's rated overall 70, which is, it's okay. This is Annie list. I don't think I have much more to say about it. It is a big magical element here to it. I'd agree with the sense of Bookworm. Since Bookworm's a good show. Parallel Pharmacy, yeah, because it has a vibe of herbology and stuff like that. I need to watch these 3 or these 2. That's just a sequel season. Female protagonist is a male. Yep. Adult cast. Medicine. Yep. Okay. Well, I think that's all I really have to say about it. This is one of the first shoujo. I think the first shoujo anime I've covered. Or in generally watch one of the first few. So I appreciate you being on this. Appreciate you listening to what I got to say. Thank you for your time. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what I'm doing. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you want me to watch. What do you want to say? Thank you. Goodbye.